Welcome to Karpo Gaming and another Borderlands 3 video. Now, we all know that the old cartel event is sadly gone, which means we have a new update. So, in this video, we're going to be going over the new update that is going to be released by 12 p.m. today. So, as you can see, Borderlands has put out a recent tweet letting us know that the new update is here. So we're going to hop on over to the website and we're going to have a look at the new update patch notes. Now, as always, I'll be leaving a link down below so you can check out these lovely patch notes yourself, and I'll be also timestamping this so you can jump right into the section that you would like to read. So let's get started. Now, it goes on to say, today we release an update for Borderlands 3, which will be live on all platforms by 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with the exception for Mac, which is planned to go live on June 18th. Now, this update adds the new Takedown. Takedown at the Guardian Breach addresses the first phase of changes to Mayhem 2.0 and addresses some player-reported concerns. The seasonal event, Revenge of the Cartel, officially ends today at 9 a.m. PST. We hope everyone enjoyed the experience, the music, and the gear. Now, with today's patch and hotfixes, players will no longer be able to travel to the villa until next year. So, it's coming back. That's pretty cool. For those worried about the availability of the awesome anointments that drop as part of this event, those are here to stay as well. Make sure that you have your hotfixes applied to ensure they are part of the pool of potential dropped anointments. So make sure you apply that hotfix by waiting around at the main menu until you see that sign pop up that says hotfix applied, and you should be good to go. Now, next up, we have new content. They've added support for new free content being added today to the base games of Borderlands 3, the Takedown at the Guardian Breach. Now, resident Iridian expert Patricia Tanis has discovered a mysterious Guardian signal on the distant planet of Minos Prime and has asked that you investigate it. So, fight for your life. Improvements. Added cooperatively reviving. When more than one person is reviving a down player, the player will be revived faster. This is only supported for cooperative players. Slow the movement speed of down players who are actively being revived by a cooperative player. Increase the interactive radius around down players to make it easier to start reviving them. Added visual FX to the down player being revived and the player revive the down player to help visualize the act of that reviving. Also added to support to Mayhem levels on item cards. Next up, we have stability. Address the reported concern that where some players could experience a crash after being kicked 3 times in a row from a host game. Address the reported concern of a crash that could sometimes occur after a client respawns in the mission Angels and Speed Demons in Conrad's Hole. Address the reported concern of a crash that could sometimes occur when engaging with enemies with the wedding invitation with the Galaxy Brain Mayhem modifier active. Address the reported concern of a crash that could sometimes occur when the host entered combat at the beginning of the 4th round in Cistern of Slaughter. Also address several reported crashes. Next up, we have optimizations. Improve performance when navigating vending machines, UI optimization for console, improve inventory for performance, improve quick menu performance and main menu performance, and item inspection performance, and buddy widget performance, and module tutorial performance. Also improve memory by removing unnecessary frames from the skill tree menus. Also improve performance when dragging and dropping in the inventory menu. Address the reported concern that players would sometimes experience a noticeable frame rate drop when navigating the character menu while they are in split screen. Also address the reported concern that performance would sometimes drop after picking up the echo log during the Demon in the Dark and Conrad's Soul. And last but not least, improve HUD performance. Next up, under General, we have addressed a reported concern that the camera would sometimes tilt sideways when using a high fire rate weapon and strafing at the same time. Disable all controls input when the game window is not in focus on PC. Disable access to the quick menu when players are in vehicles or turrets. Address the reported concern that an outrunner can sometimes be launched into the air and out of playable space when a user enters the vehicle in Meridian Metroplex. Address the reported concern that the bodies of dead enemies will sometimes scratch when inside the elevator and Conrad's hole. Address the reported concern that the host player can escape the map when crouching in the doorway of a client's room when they leave their session in Sanctuary. Address the reported concern that hitting an out-of-bounds area with the vehicle would trigger Fight for Your Life. Address the cost of ammo at vending machines to derive from the player's level instead of the vending machine's level. Also, address the concern that pinstripes and filigree were sometimes missing from some player skins. Address the reported concern that the Anointment 300% damage above 90% didn't work properly with non-fleshly enemy types. Address the reported concern that the Guardian perks would be only considered active during the session you've unlocked them in. Address the reported concern that elemental puddle decals would sometimes remain for clients when reloading the map while the puddles are present. Updated credits, added previous hotfixes to the game. Addressed also a reported concern where the hint bar would appear spaced out and scratched across the bottom of the screen in the skills tree menu. And last but not least, address the reported concern that the play button in the echo log menu would sometimes be displayed incorrectly. Now, next up we have Borderlands Science. Added a 10-second cooldown timer until a player can request to skip the current puzzle and get a new one in Borderlands Science. Address the reported concern where a Borderlands Science booster could be removed when joining another game session. Under characters, address the reported concern that the operator's action skill Anointed effects can be affected by other action skills when activating two action skills at the same time. Under EchoCast, added in-world marker to improve the discoverability of Moxitail's chest in-game. Added a reported concern in EchoCast where the Moxitail buff was lost when joining another game section. Also added a reported concern with EchoCast where the rare chest winner count stats was incorrect. Next up, under FX, address the reported concern where smoke or steam would flicker in Sanctuary after extended gameplay. Now, here comes the big one. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayhem 2.0. Rebalancing Mayhem starts for enemy health, shields, and armor in Mayhem level 7, 8, 9, and 10. Mayhem level 7, 8, 9, and 10 have had their stat bonuses to health, shields, and armor reduced. On Mayhem 10, the bonus is now 10,000% instead of 12,500, and the curve for levels 7 to 10 has been adjusted accordingly. Made a change so only the host player can roll or apply modifier changes to Mayhem. Address the report concern that Agonizer 9000, the Kraken, Wotan, and Easter were sometimes not spotting Mayhem level gear, which was very annoying, and now we can get after it. Now, while we wait for chests and vending machines to support Mayhem level gear in the next pack, as stated in Mayhem 2.0 dev update, these enemies were fixed so they support Mayhem as a stopgap. Now, next up, the Mayhem modifier Mob Mentality and Chain Gang can't no longer be rolled together. The Mayhem modifier Floor Lava now fires off less frequently, and the damage taken no longer counts towards keeping the player in combat. I always skip that, never use that one. Ugh, that one was terrible. It was cool, but it was definitely damaging. Alright, next up, the Mayhem modifier Chain Gang now creates beams when the player is close to and dissipate when further away, allowing them to fire less frequently. Optimized combat timer refresh for Mayhem. The 4 changes above were made to keep Mayhem 2.0 running smoothly, as we will continue to monitor performance of Mayhem 2.0 and make adjustments in the future. The Buddy System and Drone Ranger Mayhem modifiers are continuing to go through testing and are now going to be turned back on at this time. So, with that said, they addressed the reported concern that players will sometimes not load incorrectly after throwing grenades and making changes to Mayhem mode. Addressed the reported concern that the travel countdown timer would sometimes not display the map name when applying Mayhem modifier changes after the player activated a new use station that was not at a fast travel station. Also addressed the reported concern that the numerical indicator on the Mayhem pedestal would not display properly after adjusting the level. Addressed the reported concern that the UI for the boundary turret warning would remain on the screen when changing Mayhem setting while in a restricted area. Addressed the reported concern that the enemy death from the post-mortem Mayhem modifier was unable to cause damage to Mode Auto Bear or to players in the Iron Bear gunner seat. Addressed the reported concern that the enemy death from the Post-mortem Mayhem modifier would circle in place if spawned from an enemy that the player did not take down. Added a limit to the number of visual impact effects spawned when projectiles take damage with post-mortem and freeze tag Mayhem modifiers. Post-mortem, Heavily Avenger, and freeze tag will now check for the dying enemy alliance relative to the player when deciding if they should spawn. Also, they addressed the reported concern that players could be briefly put into fight for your life when the Mayhem modifier Rogue Light is active. Addressed the reported concern that being spawned from the boundary issues Mayhem modifier could sometimes become visually attached to the player. Addressed the reported concern that the being spawned from the boundary issue Mayhem modifier will sometimes stay attached to the player after defeating an enemy NPC turned friendly. Address a concern that beam effect would sometimes not trigger from the boundary issues Mayhem modifier if there was an obstruction between the player and the enemy. Address the reported concern that some heads were sometimes not scaling properly with the Galaxy Brain Mayhem modifier active. Address a concern that Mayhem modifier abilities would occasionally not run properly on enemies. Address a reported concern with weapon drops from enemies down via critical hits while the Loot Explosion Mayhem modifier was active, sometimes not always matching the current Mayhem level, which I wasn't aware of. Wow. Vehicles can now be the target of Mayhem modifiers. Next up, we have UI. Address a reported concern where D-pad glyphs to the change the track mission were still displayed on the HUD when playing the classic button scheme. Address a reported concern where an enemy prompt would be displayed on the HUD above the experience bar after spending skill points. Address a reported concern where multiple enemies slide outs would appear and overlap after disconnecting a controller. Address a reported concern where the speed of the UI menu would vary when adding a split screen player. Addressed a reported concern where the client's countdown would not appear on the screen after accepting a dual invitation. Added improvement to the text chat, updated hint text for the changing the viewed event to change viewed event. Addressed a reported concern that the parts of the HUD would sometimes be missing when quickly pausing and resuming the game. Now we have some hot fixes. This week we have a variety of gear balances changed as promised in the Mayhem 2.0 dev update, and hot fixes specifically for Takedown at the Guardian Breach. To get the changes and avoid seeing any other issues arise, make sure that you have the hotfix supplies at the main menu. To apply hotfixes, wait around at the main menu till you see that sign, and boom, you are good to go. With that said, they've added Revenge of the Cartel, Anointment to the permanent drop pool for gear. Addressed the reported concern that spikes from Takedown, I guess that's how you say it, and Korak ignored Zane's barrier, rebalancing the number of enemies active at one time during Takedown at the Guardian Breach, rebalanced the health of some enemies during Takedown at the Guardian Breach, addressed a potential progression blocking when fast traveling to Takedown at the Guardian Breach, and addressed the concern with the operative Sentinel not targeting enemies in some cases. Next up, we have weapon adjustments. Now, as stated in the patches above, we have adjusted the health shields and armor stats for Mayhem level 7 and higher. As part of the changes, we need to adjust the gear to reflect that. Now, with the decrease in enemy health, shield, and armor in the later levels of Mayhem, all the gear you have currently will feel more effective as you take down enemies in those higher levels. SMGs have proved to be one of the most popular weapon types, so we focus on them with this update. We decided that this amount of change was all we were comfortable when we paired with the scaling changes. So we will observe player feedback and they will make adjustments accordingly. Okay, here we go. The weapon buffs. The number of viable SMGs felt low compared to the relative depth of weapons of that type. As a result, several of them have had damage increases this week. Increased weapon damage of the BI. We have increased weapon damage of the Handsome Jackhammer, Devoted, Cloud Kill, the Tsunami, which was one of my favorite SMGs, the 10 Gallon, and one of the crowd favorites, the Ripper. Now, the Ripper's melee damage bonus wasn't providing enough incentive to execute its intended loop. We buffed the damage on the melee strike. Also increased weapon damage on the Vanquisher. The base damage of the Vanquisher and its bonus damage while sliding has been buffed. Like the Ripper, its core loop wasn't being used as a slide bonus was significantly enough prior to this change. So they increased bonus damage while sliding on the Vanquisher. The Ripper and the Vanquisher should be more effective now when embracing their unique loops. Weapon nerfs. We found that a few pieces of gear was way OP and, they wasn't working as intended, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes in the air right now. You can't see that though. So next up we have the Sandhawk, which was a very good sniper. The Sandhawk was creating too many particle systems, which we found creating issues related to the performance. It also was creating too much damage relative to other sniper rifles. To combat this, we've made the following changes. So, increased shot cost from 2 to 3. We've increased the cost of firing this weapon so that players have to more thoughtfully manage the ammo. With the additional SDUs that were added in the Revenge of the Cartel effect, players should now be able to use this weapon quite a bit. Remove 2 projectiles. As stated, the performance cost of the weapon was too high, so we removed 2 particle systems from each shot. This also removes some damage output from the weapon. Increase accuracy spread. To make up for the difference from the missing projectile, we spread out the pattern so that it covers the same space. Lowered lifetime of projectiles. Too many article projectile systems from consecutive shot were really hurting performance, so we lowered the lifespan of that projectile. Increased projectile speed. It was important to use to keep the weapon still effective in combat, so to counter the lower lifetime of the projectile, we sped them up. The result is a weapon that still feels as effective as before and even more responsive. And oh my god, I think I'm about to cry. The yellow cake. You know what's coming though. We discovered an unfortunate issue with the yellow cake that effectively added an extra 100% damage beyond the intended output. We are fixing this today. So they changed the damage scaling. The wrong scaling math was applied to the yellow cake, greatly increasing the damage, making it super OP. So they split projectile damage is decreased. We've all lowering the damage of each of its split projectiles as they were overperforming as well. So that means it's going to be a little bit different when you play today. I know. Next up we have the Kassoon, my new favorite SMG. What's going on? The Kassoon was providing more power than intended, which made it to go to SMG. With today's change, it should still provide plenty of damage that focus on explosive damage bonuses, but not quite at the scale as it was in the past. Now accuracy impulse is increased. It increased this accuracy to allow players to deal pinpoint damage. Then with the added explosive damage, it was further maximizing output. We are increasing the accuracy impulse to account for the explosive damage to make things a little bit better. Max accuracy increased. At full auto, the spread provided increasingly tight, again allowing more damage to be maximized than we intended. We've increased the maximum accordingly. Critical damage reduced. The explosive damage provided by this weapon allows critical hits more frequently, so we lowering its critical damage by a small amount. Base damage decrease. As a Kassoon basically has 2 points of damage, the initial bullet and the explosive round, it was providing way too much damage than a physical SMG, so we're lowering the base damage to better account for its dual damage feature. Now, I'm not sure if it's Kassoon or KO-san, whichever way you want to say it, it's getting a nerf. Next up, we have Anointment buffs. Now, several anointments in the game were not providing enough value, effectively making them non-viable for players. In an effort to increase build diversity, we are buffing a number of anointments. Airborne anointments. We've increased the effectiveness of the wild airborne damage, critical damage, and fire rate anointment. The airborne fire rate anointment had a bug as well, which is being fixed to subsequently improve this anointment. We're anxious to see what builds will be used in Takedown after Guardian Breach in particular. Now we have slide fire rate. It had a bug as well that was preventing it from providing the intended bonus. We've resolved that in these hotfix. We're going to have to test these out. Next up, action skill in. A number of these types of anointments have been buffed to make them more useful for more builds. Fire rate, next to mag, bonus damage, and splash damage have all received damages increases, so look out for those and start testing. And last but not least, auto bear active incendiary damage. This has received a significant buff to make Iron Bear builds more effective. So that is a big one, and that is the last bit of the patch notes, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 20 minutes and we are good to go. The new update is here. The new Takedown is here. Mayhem 2.0 is here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I hope you truly enjoyed it. Now, as always, if you are new to this channel, hello and welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, but if you really want to help out this channel in a video and help this community grow, well, you know what you can do. You can do this by liking the video and giving it a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. I answer all your questions and I upload daily videos, so if you have any questions from any game or just in general, just hit me up and I'll get you back ASAP. Hope you and your family having a great day, and as always, I'll be seeing y'all in the next one. Later.